Yankees fans, I need you to pay very close attention right now because what I'm about to tell you is going to make you understand exactly why this offseason feels so frustrating. There's a financial disaster happening in the Bronx that nobody wants to talk about openly, and it's the real reason we can't make the aggressive moves we desperately need to compete for a championship. DJ LeMahieu's contract is costing us $15 million next season, and that dead money is absolutely crushing Brian Cashman's ability to build a legitimate contender. While the Mets are throwing stupid money at everyone and the Dodgers keep acting like they have unlimited resources, we're sitting here counting pennies like some small market franchise. This is the New York Yankees we're talking about, not the Oakland Athletics, but you wouldn't know it from how careful the front office is being with every dollar. The 2024 season just ended with another brutal playoff collapse that left us all wondering what could have been. Our starting rotation was inconsistent all year long, held together with hopes and prayers rather than elite talent. The bullpen ERA made opposing hitters look like they were taking batting practice, and we finished the season with massive question marks all over this roster. The AL East is loaded right now. Baltimore just proved they're legitimate contenders. Toronto is always dangerous when their roster stays healthy. Boston somehow finds ways to play spoiler exactly when we need them to lose. And here we are, unable to address our glaring weaknesses because of terrible financial decisions from years ago. Brian Hawk just exposed the real reason why Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman have their hands tied, and honestly, it's making my blood boil. We're talking about $15 million in dead money sitting on our books doing absolutely nothing to help us win games. That's all thanks to DJ LeMahieu's contract preventing us from making the aggressive additions we need. But it gets worse. We're also carrying Marcus Stroman at $18.5 million, and Aaron Hicks is somehow still costing us over $10 million in dead money. That's nearly $45 million in total for players who aren't even contributing to winning baseball games. Think about what $45 million could do for this roster right now. That's a legitimate ace starter who could anchor our rotation. That's an elite closer who could shut down games in the ninth inning. That's multiple impact position players who could transform our lineup. Instead, we're paying for past mistakes while watching our championship window with Aaron Judge slowly close. Remember back in 2019 when we signed LeMahieu and everyone thought Cashman was a genius. The machine was supposed to be that consistent contact hitter who could play multiple positions, give us steady veteran production, and be the glue that held everything together. For those first couple seasons, he actually looked like one of the smartest signings in recent Yankees history. He won a batting title, made all-star teams, and became a fan favorite. But injuries started piling up year after year. His production absolutely fell off a cliff, and now we're stuck paying $15 million for a player who might not even be on the active roster next season. The worst part about this whole situation is that it's creating a domino effect throughout our entire offseason strategy. Word around baseball circles is that Kyle Tucker might actually be available from Houston. Every Yankees fan knows he'd be the perfect addition to our outfield, giving us that left-handed power bat we desperately need. But that $15 million albatross from LeMahieu might be the exact difference between landing Tucker and settling for another discount signing that Cashman tries to sell us as having high upside potential. The front office keeps talking about luxury tax implications and staying under certain thresholds like that's supposed to make us feel better. But what they're really saying is we can't afford to be truly competitive because we're paying for players who aren't helping us win. It's like showing up to fight with a pocket knife while the Dodgers and Mets are carrying automatic weapons. We're supposed to be the franchise that makes other teams nervous in free agency, not the team that's worried about going over some arbitrary spending limit. Brian Cashman actually came out recently and said there are salary levels they'll max out at, which basically translates to we're being cheap now and there's nothing you can do about it. When the New York Yankees are worried about spending money, something is fundamentally broken with how this organization operates. We're supposed to be the team that lands the biggest names, regardless of cost, the franchise that builds championship rosters by outspending everyone else when necessary. From a roster construction standpoint, the impact is absolutely devastating. That $15 million could have been spent on legitimate starting pitching that might actually help us get past the first round of the playoffs for once. Instead, we're probably looking at another bargain rotation that completely falls apart the moment October baseball starts. How many more seasons are we going to watch this team limp into the playoffs with starting pitching that can't get outs consistently. The luxury tax excuse is getting really old when you're supposed to be the New York Yankees. Aaron Boone is going to have to work with another incomplete roster because the front office claims they can't afford to fill the obvious holes everyone can see. The tactical limitations this creates are massive. You can't win championships when you're constantly trying to patch together a roster with budget signings instead of acquiring elite talent. Every contending team has weaknesses, but most of them have the financial flexibility to actually address those weaknesses. We don't have that luxury because we're paying for mistakes from 3 and 4 years ago. Here's where things get even more frustrating for Yankees fans who want to see this team compete seriously. Sources close to the organization are saying we still want to re-sign Cody Bellinger, which would be a solid addition if we could actually afford to surround him with the pitching we desperately need. But that LeMahieu money is hanging over every single negotiation like a dark cloud, limiting our options and forcing us to choose between addressing different roster needs instead of going all in like a true championship franchise should. We're not just competing against other teams for free agents anymore. We're competing against our own terrible financial decisions from previous seasons. Every dollar tied up in dead contracts is a dollar that can't go toward making this team better right now. And it's becoming a pattern that's killing our ability to compete with super teams that aren't handicapped by these kinds of issues. Think about this scenario realistically for a second. If we had that extra $15 million available right now, we could be serious players for top-tier starting pitching. We could make a legitimate push for impact position players who would immediately improve this roster. Instead, we're going to hear the same tired talking points about internal options and player development, while teams like the Dodgers add another superstar to their already stacked roster. The optimistic view would be that eventually these dead contracts come off the books and we can finally spend like the Yankees again. But by then, Aaron Judge might be on the wrong side of 35 years old, and our current championship window could be completely closed. Time is not on our side here, and every season we waste because of poor financial planning is another year we'll never get back in this era of Yankees baseball. Looking ahead at the key dates this offseason, winter meetings are coming up fast, and we'll see pretty quickly whether this organization is serious about competing or if they're going to essentially punt another season because of these self-imposed contract limitations. Free agency is already moving at a rapid pace, and every day we spend worrying about luxury tax implications is another day our rivals are getting significantly better. The next few weeks will tell us everything we need to know about this organization's actual priorities. Are we still the New York Yankees, who spare no expense to build championship caliber teams? Or have we become just another franchise that talks about fiscal responsibility while the fan base suffers through mediocre seasons that end in disappointment? The answer to that question will define how competitive we can actually be in 2026. What makes this situation even more maddening is watching teams with smaller markets and fewer resources make bolder moves than we're capable of making. We're the New York Yankees with the biggest revenue stream in baseball, yet we're acting like we can't afford to take risks on premium talent. That's not a luxury tax problem. That's a management philosophy problem that starts at the very top with ownership. When Hal Steinbrenner talks about being fiscally responsible, what he's really saying is that maximizing profits matters more than maximizing championships. His father would have eaten that $15 million in dead money as the cost of doing business and then spent whatever it took to bring in the players needed to win. This current version of Yankees management treats the luxury tax like it's some kind of hard salary cap that can't be exceeded under any circumstances. The reality we're facing is that this financial mess is potentially costing us our best chance at landing players who could actually help us win a championship in Aaron Judge's prime years. It's infuriating to watch. It's embarrassing for a franchise with our history, and it's exactly the kind of mismanagement that's kept us from hanging banner number 28 since 2009. We're wasting the prime years of a generational talent because we're too worried about paying for past mistakes instead of investing in future success. So here's the bottom line for Yankees fans who want this team to be serious contenders again. That $15 million in dead money from DJ LeMahieu is just one example of how poor roster management from previous years is preventing us from being aggressive right now. Add in Stroman and Hicks, and you're looking at nearly $45 million that could have transformed this roster, but instead is doing nothing to help us compete until ownership decides that winning championships matters more than staying under arbitrary spending thresholds. We're going to keep having these same frustrating conversations every single offseason while our window slowly closes.